Yeah.
坚决贯彻落实习近
Guangzhou
平
Medical
主席
School
重要指示精
has
神，
earnestly
上级
implemented
的
the
决
key
策部门
instructions made by General Secretary Xi Jinping and the ACB Central Committee. So we shoulder our responsibilities and also take a leading role.
保障广大
And we have taken effective ways to protect our pupils, especially our students, safe. And we also actively participated in the prevention and control disease and also educated the public to let them know more knowledge. And we also firmly shoulder the responsibility as a medical school.
是在医疗救治方面，
First, regarding the medical treatment, the 3 affiliated school actually has listed as the designated hospitals, and we had accumulated
危重症的新冠肺炎
the patients, 17 with severe or critical conditions, 2 discharged, 0 deaths,
整体腾空作为第三梯队，
and we also move a empty hospital waiting for the 3rd batch. A 3rd affiliated hospital and also leverage its advantage and also treat a patient, especially the pregnant patients, and also better utilize the strengths of TCM and Western medicines. And also we released a protocol regarding how to better use the combination of TCM and Western medicine. And we also sent different batch of the best team to assist Hubei. We had 23 to 18 and also participated in TCM constellation in Siba, 58 to Hubei. And we also have 76 people ready to dispatcher. And we also conducted telemedicine service. We also have the experts included in the expert panel at the provincial level, and we also organize our work to give support to different provinces. And second, we conducted a scientific research. Our school established a group conducted on the pathogen, the reagent, TCM study, clinical treatment. Professor Zhao Jingcun successfully separated the coronavirus strain from the patient. And recently, we also separated the virus from the urine and feces of the patients. I believe this laid a solid foundation for our following research. And Professor Yang Zifeng had made a screen on the candidates and found that Lianhua Qingwen and other TCM medicine had a good inhibitory effect. And we talk about the Abdor, Severe, and chloroquine also had a good effect on the in vitro studies. And we also found a fast track kit of NAT, and we also conducted different clinical trials on different medicine candidates. Third, talking about prevention and control of disease, we fully leverage our strengths as a medical school, and we also had a plan in terms of logistic support. And this is also received a good acknowledged by the government and also rolled as a good practice to other schools. At the very first time, we established a volunteer team and also established a temporary party committee to let the party members play a leading role and also proactively help the different communities in Guangzhou to conduct screening and also compile the education handbook and also help to test the temperatures. So far, we have more than 200 students and teachers involved in this endeavor and receive a good feedback from the public. And we also talk about the resumption of work. We talk about we should have one smart system and a one-time NAT, one TCM plan, and one voluntary team. And this is adopted by Huangpu region. And we also organize the medics to follow this plan and provide a good safeguard to the people back to work. And we also work with government by different ways, online and offline, to educate the public about the knowledge of the COVID-19, and also had a menu and a handbook, as well as videos published online and offline to let the public know more about the COVID-19 and stop the rumor and also safeguard our people's health. And we also conduct a psychological counseling. We also work with the different departments, such as the Department of Geriatrics, and we also send a group team from the psychologists and also provide the professional service to medics. And the professor from Department of Geriatrics also had the suggestions released in this regard, and we also provided the music therapy to the medics on the front line, and also more than 1,000 medics already enjoy this service. We will resolutely safeguard our people's safety and health, and for sure win the battle against COVID-19. Thank you. Thank you very much, President of Guangzhou Medical University. And this is a general picture of the work undergoing by the school. From my observation, I can tell that since the establishment of Guangzhou Medical School, we had a very strong team built at this school, and this not only belonged to Guangzhou, I believe also belonged to the whole country. We talk about back to 2003 SARS war, or this time the battle against the novel coronavirus. The affiliated school of Guangzhou Medical School always play as a strong soldier to save our people's health and fight the war. Now I would like to give the floor to Professor Li Min to talk about the patient treatment. Friends from the media, I would like to now brief you our work in prevention and control. And for our hospital, it's one of the key hospitals on the national list. And we are the first affiliated hospital of Guangzhou Medical University, also a designated hospital for patients of COVID-19, especially the severe and critical cases. Under the strong leadership of the party committee and the government of Guangzhou, we work with all our colleagues to make breakthroughs in prevention and control endeavors. And we hope to make our contribution to the treatment. And we earnestly implement the 4 early measures, which is early identification, early report, early diagnosis, and early treatment. And we also have to find the different ways to find available medical resources, and also find the negative pressure warrants, and we also make all different ways to find the effective solutions to treat the patients. And we also established the fever clinics and the isolation clinics, ICU, and we have 4 different levels of warrants in order to treat the patients at different levels. And we also have a team ready to respond to the call to support Wuhan and Hubei province. And second, we also initiated the emergency system. The doctors and nurses at our hospitals actively respond to the call. All in all, we would like to do everything to protect our people's safety and health, and do a good job to treat the patients with critical and severe cases. As of February 25th, We have admitted 15 patients with severe condition and 2 with critical condition. And so far, we are seeing the patients are changing for the better. And talk about the new cases we found in Guangzhou. 9 out of 10 admitted in our hospital. And we also organized the experts panel to conduct the consultation with the doctors in other regions of Guangdong province. And second, we also sent the expert team at national level to give their support to the different hospitals and regions, and follow the deployment of the local authorities. And we participate in the treatment 8 patients with severe condition and 17 with critical conditions. We involved in the whole process to treat the patients in Shiba region, and that's also a treatment cross-discipline, and we had 11 patients with the invasive respiratory are now come to our hospitals, and we also transfer the patients with ECMO. So they had ECMO in Siba and transferred to our hospital for further treatment. Right now, these patients are now in a stable condition. Talking about the medical team, we also realized a bedside clinical treatment in a timely manner to safeguard our patients' life. And we also took the lead to conduct the telemedicine and make sure we all play us on the same chessboard. And we also leverage our strengths in order to increase the treatment efficiency of patients, especially with critical and severe conditions. And we also Hubei, Guangzhou, Yunnan, Hainan hospitals could conduct more than 20 remote consultations, and we also do everything to protect Hubei and also safeguard Wuhan. General Secretary Xi Jinping also had a conversation with the designated hospital of the Jintang Hospital and the other 2 hospitals in the Hubei provinces, and saying that if Hubei could win the war, then the whole China can win the battle against COVID-19. And we dispatched 4 batches to Wuhan, including the Jintang Hospital, Union Hospital, Hankou Hospital, and 50% are with the senior title, and also established a temporary party office. 63% are the party members. And 10 doctors and nurses also made their application to become a doctor. We also have a doctor post-19 because it's had a merit performance and also admitted as a party member. And the first doctor supported Hubei and received the announcement by the National Health Congress on January 23rd. Back then, there was no direct transportation, so the first doctor actually from Yueyang and in different routes finally arrived Wuhan, and in Jintan ICU and right away started his work to treat the most critical case in Wuhan. With our joint efforts, the doctors worked at a front line for 35 days and treated more than 60 cases, especially the critical cases, and also we have seen 4 patients already get off the therapy of oxygen, so they do not need a nasal cannula. And for the Jintan Hospital, also received the courage from General Secretary Xi Jinping on the eve of a Spring Festival. We also organized the first batch of medical teams from Guangdong to Wuhan. And started from January 26, we took over the ICU with 80 beds. The key responsibility is to treat the patients and the medics. And we also adopted a customized treatment plan, and we have seen a good result. So far, we admitted 150 patients, and 70 seeing a good symptoms shown. On February 2nd, the vice president of the school also led another team to the Union Hospital of Wuhan and took over the CCM and also opened a new ICU ward. We admitted so far 48 patients with critical condition and 43 with incubation services. 6 patients right now showing a better symptoms, so they do not need to have the inhalation treatment. And Vice Premier Sun Chunlan also had inspections on our successful cases. And we also leverage a platform and also take a leading role. We establish the projects in our national key laboratory and also establish a cooperation with Hong Kong SAR and Macau SAR, and also conduct the NAT test and also finish the test on more than 300 samples of NAT to better find a patient at an early stage. And we work with a local company in Wuhan and had a branch of NAT tests and also conducted clinical trials and studies. And we also have 17 projects in this regard, 3 with the Ministry of Science and Technology. And we also work with the other national laboratory and successfully separated a virus strain and also separated the virus from the feces and urine of the patients with COVID-19. I believe that provide a very meaningful ground for the further research and study. And over 31 provinces, 55 hospitals made the analysis of the patients on their clinical manifestations, talking about the use of TCM. And we right now conducted a screening on the 29 candidates. We also actively promote the utilization of the clinical study, the antiviral medicine also for the clinical treatment and trial, and we will continue our efforts to do a good job to treat the patients and prevention and control of the disease, and also to provide the safety health of our people in Guangdong. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Li Yimin. This morning, we also have the journalists ask me the question about the stories in 2003. I also asked a question about the national level laboratories in Guangzhou. Because Guangzhou, we have our special feature and the Nanshan style. I believe it's also good opportunities to let our party secretary of the Guangzhou Medical School and also a director of the National Laboratory on Infectious Disease and respiratory disease. Friends from the media, the Guangzhou Medical University took a swift actions and also in a strong, powerful manner. Don't really think it's our secret weapon or rich experience. I believe the results we got so far should give the credit to the following areas. First, we showed the responsibilities and brave enough to raise to the challenges. We are doctors, nurses, but we are also soldiers. Back to 2003, academician Zhong made the promise that please send the most critical case to us. I believe that the same promise also worked this time. As the designated hospital to admit the most critical case in Guangzhou, so far we have admitted 20 patients, and we also have taken over one ICU in Wuhan province, Wuhan city, and we also took over one ICU in Huangshi. And we also opened 3 battlefields in 2 regions at the same time. So we talk about back to the SARS time. We had a special elite team. They were conducting back then the treatment work to the most critical patients. This time we also have a group of elites. They utilize different means of transportation and also the advanced technology such as internet. They are in charge of consultation, transferring, and treatment of the most critical patients. Second, and we are bold to break ground and make breakthroughs. Back to 2003, academician Zhong led the team to summarize the most effective treatment plan. This time, under the leadership of academician Zhong, we also make active actions in this regard, and we try to do the 3 early measures. First, to summarize the 553 hospitals in 31 provinces. So we try to summarize all the cases of patients with COVID-19, and to Pixin, 莲花清瘟 is patent TCM medicine. We're also in the early clinical trial stage, and we also leverage the strength of TCM Western medicine to find an effective way to improve the treatment rate and cure rate. And second, we also take an early action to find pathogen. In Guangzhou, we had separated a throat swab and also separate the virus from the feces and urine of the patients with COVID-19. That also laid a solid foundation for us to screening virus, screening the medicines, and identifying the vaccines. I believe that also can help us to make a comprehensive treatment plan. Third, and we also to conduct an early treatment protocol. We work with the other parties on improving NAT and conduct NAT as early as possible. And we also had a kit available to test, identify antibodies. I believe that's also a good way for clinical treatment. And we also worked with other parties to create a synergy to treat the patients. Amid the epidemic, we focus on 3 areas. First, the clinical medics should have a close communication with the doctors and nurses at the headquarters. We work together to improve the clinical treatment plans and research and study of the disease. And we also mobilize the resources and the working force from different departments. And we actually organize the different affiliated medical schools, including departments of infectious disease, the CCM, ICU, and also the other departments such as the gynecology and obstetrics, to create a synergy and make a dream team to treat the patients. At the Xinhua, or the Union Hospital in Wuhan, we took over the ward and also admitted 1 patient woman, and that's a mom already given the birth, and admitted to our hospitals, and had a quite complex and complex symptoms shows, and especially because she is after the operation and also showed the heart failure. But this could not stop our effort to save the patients, because we have a professor and Dr. Gong Yuanmei from the Department of Gynecology and Obstetrics, because that professor also with rich experience in treating pregnant and laying in patients. And we also work closely with other hospitals. We had a battlefield in 1 city in Wuhan, and we also work closely with Guangzhou number 8 hospitals. We work together to conduct our work to save patients. And the team in Union Hospital in Wuhan, we work with other teams from Guangdong province as well as the medical team from other provinces to create a synergy and pool all the wisdom to treat patients, especially in severe and critical conditions. And we also work with Guangzhou Customs Administration, the CAS, and the Guangzhou Health Institution, Guangdong Laboratories, and other science and technology institutions to make a joint effort to study the virus and make breakthroughs. Fourth, we would like to also carry out the spirit of fighting against SARS. I believe we all have that memory back to 2003 that we had showed the Nanshan style, that we brave enough to break the ground and show the perseverance to fight against SARS. That spirit and working style also applied this time. When war befalls my country, I would like to answer the call to fight and win the battle. Since the first batch sent to Hubei province, right now we have our 6th batch are ready to departure. During the whole process, the medics in Guangdong actually make active actions and also applied voluntarily, and they shoulder the responsibilities and be proud of themselves. The National Health Commission came to us. I believe that's on February 7th, 11:30 a.m. We received the announcement that we should send a team to support, and the requirements at the 2 p.m. we should have the A team ready at Baiyun International Airport, which only gave us 3 hours to gather the team ready. So as all the medics received the call immediately, and they all showed up at the airport, and they didn't finish packing. And they didn't fall back. They didn't hesitate. Among the soldiers this time, many of them were veterans in SARS battlefield. As I just mentioned, Professor Zhang Guofu, Xu Yanda, Chen Sipei, they are the main force to fight SARS. Unfortunately, they were infected, and however, this time they took the lead and rushed to the front line without hesitation and fear. I believe their spirit once again demonstrate the spirit of our people from the Guangdong province. We talk about Dr. Sang Lin, born after 1980s, received a call from the National Health Conference, the commissions. He himself rushed to the Xinhua hospital. He arrived alone, actually, because he worked under a big pressure, mentally and physically. He overcame all these difficulties. He made a guidance at ICU. At the daytime, in the evening, he summarized the experience and lessons learned on that day. The ICU, he managed or admitted 60 patients. 4 already got rid of the intubation therapy, and more than 20 patients actually moved from ICU to the regular wards. And he also participated in compile the A3 handbook and the A treatment plan. For this young blood, also showed their perseverance and courage. I believe they are the good examples and great doctors. The Dr. Chen Ainan also received the announcement on the eve of the Spring Festival. They had a family reunion dinner. They rushed to the Hankou Hospital. Back then, still faced a shortage of medical supplies and also facing a quite severe medical treatment situation. For the nurses and the female doctors also carried the oxygen tanks to carry them into the wards to give the oxygen therapy to the patients. And they also utilized the later time to clean the floor of the ward we took over. The team of Director Zhang Luofu, they took over the one ward. Actually, back then, that ward was not good enough to admit patients with infectious disease. So once they arrived, they also start to renovate the ward. After the renovation, they also switched their role from a renovating worker to doctor. So they changed to the protective suits and admitted 2 patients with clinical cases and conducted the trachea cannular treatment. That also the 2 first cases use the oxygen therapy. Up to today, they admitted 48 patients with critical conditions, 43 with the trachea cannula, and 6 patients have seen a good symptom shown and do not need to use the oxygen therapy anymore. And fifth, we do everything to make sure the party flag fly high on the front line of the battlefield. The party committee played a solid foundation and also a key fortress. The party members also play a leading role and the good examples to lead the whole team. The affiliated hospitals, the third affiliated hospitals, also dispatched a team to Wuhan. Upon their arrival, they also established the temporary party committee. The party committee at Xinhua, or the Union Hospital in Wuhan, showed that although it was a temporary party committee, but party always with us, our role should be always reflect on our behaviors in order to let the party flag fly high on the front line so the people can feel that sense of safety. Therefore, we believe the party committee is a strong support to all the medics on the front line. We have students also organized a volunteering group. They also organized their temporary party committee. At the special time, they conducted the online education to the party members to let the party member understand the instructions and also let them know the role and responsibilities they should shoulder and the missions they need to perform. I believe this is a good practice. And also, the party committee in my school also made the application to the Command Office of Prevention and Control of Disease in Guangdong Province to participate with the Guangdong CDC, the Guangdong Education Bureau, and the Jianghe District to carry out the containment efforts. Professor Xu Yuanda, as I've just mentioned, is a party secretary of the temporary party committee, was a veteran from the SARS battlefield. Started from working hours, he went one team to another to heard the report and gave the guidance. More importantly, he also conducted the warrant inspections after working hours and also give the guidance on the treatment plans. He checked the body condition and also the incubation plans on each single patient. Zhu Shitao from the 5th Temporary Party Committee and Li Jingwen, born after 1995. They were all right now working at Union Hospital in Wuhan. They should perform the hard and complex work to treat the patient. They also actively shoulder the mobilization work of medical supplies, transportation arrangement, telecommunication, equipment, and also even to giving the morning call, disinfections, collecting data and analyzing the data. So this is something, actually, their actual work. And also facing the shortage of medical supply, they also shoulder the responsibility to mobilize the available supplies. Sometimes it also faces the argument or the criticism. For people born after 1995, I believe this is really a hard job for them, but they believe this is something they should do as a party member. For each and every party member, they play their role and shoulder the responsibilities. Coming together, our whole team can always keep up at a high morale and be a stronger and powerful medical team. Thank you. Thank you very much. General Secretary Xi Jinping also emphasized that we should tell good stories. I believe our party members working in Guangdong province, especially those working right now on the front line in Wuhan City and Hubei province, they had a lot of touching stories. And now I would like to give the floor to renowned experts of respiratory department academician Zhong Nanshan. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you all the friends from the media from your coverage, because you reflect the full picture of our work. I would like to give you the more information, talking about from the bigger picture. The Guangzhou Medical University play a key role. Talking about the key strategies laid out by the CBC Central Committee and State Council. On January 20th, we had a clear announcement that the effect of human-to-human transmission and the medical staff infected with disease. I believe this is a key information. And we also have two phenomena. One is the severe situation in Wuhan, another is the increasing number in other regions. So that is why we had a urgent meeting with Premier Li. WHO identify the risk level in 3 levels. If it's level 2, means it's a epidemic in that country. But the situation is very different in China. We found a quite large-scale epidemic broke out in Wuhan. But talk about other regions like Guangdong province, was not seen a large-scale outbreak. So this is quite different from other epidemic. We talk about the community infectious levels quite severe than SARS. But we look at the patients, it also shows a different level of infections, which means one patient can transmit the virus to 2 to 3 people. So we should focus on 2 fronts. One is the situation in Wuhan, another is the whole nationwide. So we talk about first, we should hands-on to deal with situation nationwide. So that is why we talk about early identification, early isolation, early treatment. That is why we had an interagency mechanism. Because of this joint prevention and control endeavor, it stopped a big-scale outbreak nationwide. And for Hubei province, we mobilized a top team dispatched to Hubei province. And talking about how the disease will develop, and we use a traditional model to calculate, and also the calculation by some epidemiologists. And they established a 160,000 people could be infected in China. But for our laboratory, based on the traditional test models, and we also plus one a moderate, powerful measures took by the whole nation, and second is staggering or extension the spring holiday. We also have our model. But no one acknowledged our expectation. For our expectation, the peak time be the mid of February, mid to late February. So I actually announced this on February 10th. I received some WeChat message and saying that your message could be destroyed totally by the facts. But right now, the facts shows a total infection number 78,000. And we have the confidence because the number we're doing just focus on China, but right now you look at the entire situation is changing, especially the situation overseas. Their focus is saying that everything should be added by the end of May. Our focus is by the end of April. Let's wait and see the results. I believe because of countries the most stringent measures and the joint prevention and control endeavors, we will see the results. Another is in Wuhan, a large number of suspected cases or a large number of the clinical diagnosed cases were found. So how to deal with these group of patients? In the United States, they also have a quite outbreak of influenza, also called a group of people died, but no one knows exactly the reason behind. So we should do everything to find out the pathogenicity. We work with a company from Tangshan and another company from Guangdong, and Boao, that's a team from a company from Sichuan. We work together to develop 2 things and make approval at a clinical trial. So first, in a really short time to identify the patient with COVID-19 or patient with influenza. This is very important. We talk about CT imaging is more or less maybe the same. Actually, the patients with influenza are quite in a large amount of number every year. You cannot really blend them with the patient with COVID-19. And second, what's the ground to confirm the patient with COVID-19? We're talking about the IgM antibody. As the patient contracted with virus and produced antibody within 7 days. So IgM test on suspected cases a good tool. So work with relevant companies and applied to this information to Vice Premier and the relevant authorities. We hope this can go through the green channel and apply to the clinic. So at 2 a.m., the plans were approved so that effectively help us to identify suspected cases. And fifth, we're talking about the resumption of work. We also made our proposal. We right now use a Forcon in Guangdong because they have more than tens of thousands of workers trying to back to work. So we are also practicing our methods in Foxconn. So we have done some contributions at different milestones amid the epidemic. Talking about the early identification, early treatment, early isolation, and right now I also mentioned about early precaution also hold the key. We talked about before in Xinjiang, we also conduct a similar method to prevent TB. We conducted the companies in Guangdong to produce needed medical supplies to improve the production capacity. Talking about the route of transmission, I would like to correct that we are the first one to culture the virus strain and to find the live virus in urine. So a lot of media ask me, so the patients discharging from the hospital, they still find that the result with virus in their faces. So far, actually, still a learning tip to everyone. We cannot really give 100% confirmed answers. But the law of virus is the same as long as they have the antibody found in their body, the IgM. They are a patient with COVID-19 and they have that antibody, they will not be contracted again. And they also can donate their plasma. We talk about, we find they have maybe the possibility to be infected again. We talk about if they have produced enough the antibodies. Actually, that IgM is dedicated to fight the COVID-19. And talk about the virus in their faces or in the intestinal tract. That may be possible, but it will not be infected again. But we talk about whether that virus is still communicable to others. That should wait and see. But we talk about as long as they have the antibody of IgM, they will not be infected with COVID-19 again. This is confirmed. So talk about a case in Hong Kong. We found in certain community buildings, we found the household at the upper stage and lower stage. They were all confirmed cases of COVID-19. And we also had a different therapeutic plans. We talk about the chloroquine phosphate, right, severe, and other TCM. We talk about the time for the results turning negative. It's around 5 to 7 days, no more than 10 days. The reason behind, to be frank, it's impossible to do a control group with nothing given to the control group, because right now this is the epidemic. It's so severe, it's not there to give the control group with nothing. So we talk about actually all the medicine we give to the control group, they all have a certain effective. We don't know whether we not give to the medicine how the patients their symptoms could develop. But so far we talk about the chloroquine phosphate is the most effective. Just use around 4 days or so. The patients all show a good symptom changing for the better. We talk about treatment should go first, and scientific research should come next. So we cannot really do a standardized control group comparison. And we also have other medicine on the pipeline waiting for the clinical trial. And then we will do a standardized control group comparison, but that's saved for later. Right now, for the treatment to the patients in critical and severe cases, I believe the law is more or less the same as the patient in other provinces, exclude Hubei. So based on their etiological features, it's different from SARS. Besides the cytokine features, that also have other features. So we talk about the very sticky of the mucus in their alveolus. So because this very sticky and thick mucus impact their respiratory tract. So we talk about actually it's not that easy to treat this group of patients. So that's based on our 2 dissections as well. These sticky mucus, very important. I can tell you a level of the mucus is really thick, especially in their respiratory tract. I believe this should be a target point for us. Right now, there's no solution yet, and we think about all different ways to deal with it. And that's also basically block their respiratory tract. In Wuhan and in other regions, the severe cases, their fatality rate is nearly 60%. We also would like to take a challenge. Right now in our ward, we have around severe cases, 9. So that's 9 in critical cases. So I would like to take this test on our capabilities, how we can better treat the patients in critical conditions. So far, there's no effective ways. And we also work with a company from Shanghai through a special equipment and to convert something from the water to generate the hydrogen and oxygen to deal with the disease or the symptoms like the viremia and hypoglycemia. Right now, we also apply the methods to certain patients, and we tried this method in Wuhan, and that also showed good symptoms. Right now, we have around 2,000 machines in Heilongjiang province, Yunnan, and Wuhan, and also in Guangdong. I believe by using these kind of equipment can help the patient, prevent them from mild condition to severe or critical conditions. So right now we also try every way to produce this kind of equipment to produce oxygen and hydrogen. With more than dozens of years of experience on clinical treatment and basic research, we believe we have the capability to do more contribution. This morning, we see the new cases is less than the new cases found globally. So ROK, Iran, and Italy are right now the three places with a sharply increasing numbers in terms of new cases of COVID-19 patients. I believe the experience in China could be inspiring to them. So at this weekend, I will do a report to the Respiratory Association of Europe. We talk about we need to draw the wisdom globally. This is not the enemy only to China. This is a common enemy to the whole world. So we also work with Harvard Medical School, also with University of Toronto from Canada. We had a clinical trial on medicine that they already sent the medicine to us, and we will do a standardized control group study. And we also would like to express my gratitude to a lot of companies such as Hengda, because Hengda also help us to contribute the communication cooperation with Harvard Medical Schools. We talk about we're not only short-sighted, only focus on the COVID-19. We should be look like the long run. Thank you. Thank you very much, Academician Zhong Nanshan. I believe you can feel that at this time the COVID-19 is at a critical stage, and we should also put the wisdom globally to win the battle. That is also a common destiny mentioned by General Secretary Xi Jinping. Now the floor is open. Please identify your media affiliation before raising your question. Now the floor is open. With CMG CCTV, my question to Academician Zhong. General Secretary Xi Jinping mentioned amid the epidemic, also found a shortage term of a mechanism to cope with the disease, and we should also summarize the lessons and learn from it. So how to improve our response mechanism and handling capability to this kind of the emergency, national health emergency. Actually, this is not a question you raised. I also raised this question many times. 17 years ago, SARS first found in Guangdong. We talk about we don't know whether we were the source, but at least the case were first found in Guangdong province. Back then, we issued the measures to improve the mechanism. We did a good job, so that is also laid a solid foundation for us to identify the novel coronavirus this time in a very swift manner. Because back then, in 2003, we spent 50 days to find the pathogen, also in Hong Kong, SAR, not in the Chinese mainland. You talk about weakness. From my observation, a public emergency response you cannot predict when it will happen. As we all know, the 911, the terrorism incidents happened in the United States. They invested a big amount of money to strengthen their mechanism. That was not a national health emergency, but that showed a weak link. We talk about we found it's a novel coronavirus by the end of December 2019, and we separated on January 3rd the strain, and on January 7th reported to regional CDC and national CDC. We talk about the role or the status of a CDC was really low. It's considered as a technical department under the National Health Commission. So the role or the function of CDC not given enough attention, but talk about CDC in the United States, in other places or countries, they directly reported to the executive meeting, the executive board of the state council or the central government. But the case is different in China. I recall the expert panel stated clearly in the media coverage. So talk about the human-to-human transmission. That's a confirmed case, but actually we found it at a very early date. CDC only could report to upper level. So the local authorities make its own decisions. So the CDC did not have the actual rights or power for decision making. So that's my suggestion, that we should think about the roles, functions, and power of a CDC. Still, no one knows when the new type of disease would happen. We talk about Dr. Li Wenliang, already a whistleblower back then. We talk about actually it's a new virus, no one knew it, no knowledge in the place. But still, CDC, we need to see some improve. We had a quite deep memory about SARS, and we did a lot of research on SARS. We think of it just a special case. So we talk about, people think it's just a accidental event. So later on, a lot of the institutes stopped their study. We did some. We also did the research on animals. We had our preparation in place. But still, for these kind of a sudden infectious disease or epidemic, we are not fully prepared. So for this kind of new disease, talking about the treatment, at the very beginning we had nothing to use. So based on the pathogen, based on the other ground, we immediately found existing medicine. Actually, it's really hard, or I can tell it's impossible to develop a new medicine. We talk about prevention and control are the two key fronts. Right now, the fatality rate is just around 1%. So the situation is quite different in Wuhan. If you including the number in Wuhan, then the number increased to 3%. But excluding Wuhan, the fatality rate right now is around 1%. Thank you. General Secretary Xi Jinping also said that this time will also help us to find the weak link in the national emergency response mechanism, and we should also summarize the lessons, and also to improve the mechanism, and we should strengthen our capability to cope with the epidemic. Xinhua News Agency. You talk about the focused model. You have a quite strong confidence that or focus that the epidemic will be ended by the end of April, but the international model focus that everything will be ended by the end of May. So what's your focus on the next phase of the epidemic? And right now we can see more regions start to resume work. How that impact the epidemic. So our focus, actually the international forecast is still focused on China, because back then no case found internationally. But right now you can see the situation totally changed. The new case found internationally more than the new case reported in China. So we talk about a joint prevention and control measures. So we talk about right now the mechanism improved, and also we emphasize more on supervision. So we talk about that interagency mechanism really showed the great importance attached by the central government, and also you look at the communities also have quite strict registration systems. So this is something rarely imagined by the other countries. You look at actually this is a really sharp decreasing trajectory that should give the credit to the interagency mechanism. Therefore, I also suggest to the countries with a fast spreading speed, they should learn the lessons and the good practice in China, so that help to identify the cases at an early stage, and also to isolate all these patients or the cases as early as possible. To your second question, the gradually resume work. We talk about whether that we may see another up curve because of resumption of work. Today is February 27th. I didn't see the curve back because we need to do a lot of checkings before you're on board and also after you're off board. So actually, we touch great importance on the public transportation means, like the trains or airplanes. So we talk about we can manage and cut off the spread of the virus. So we actually right now is practicing the most stringent method. People need to back to work because we should let the economic target to meet. And we'll also work with the local companies. As we know, the Foxconn is a large-scale company, so within the 2,000, 3,000 square meters plant, around 10,000 to 30,000 workers are working in this place. So they say that we also mentioned about the double check system. So that's NAT test, and also to do the IgM test. So this double check can verify the worker is safe enough to back to work. And all the plants, we're talking about the washroom or the sewers should be clean and unimpeded. A lot of cases we found in Hong Kong ICER and in Chinese mainland, we found that it's because of feces actually to spread the virus. So that's the feces actually. You can talk about it's gasified, the virus, or it's maybe aerosol, you can call it, but that's the virus actually infect the people. So we didn't have any case right now showing it's the digestive system with virus. We talk about we should really monitor closely the resumption of work because we don't want to see a cluster of infections. We talk about larger scale companies. You have a lot of different zones, and you can separate the workers and leave enough space for the workers. I believe at least more than 1 meter in between. And also the resumption of work should carry out gradually, so we will not see a curve back up again. So in recent days, the Guangdong Party Committee and the government attach great importance on resumption of work. Right now, we lowering the response level from level 1 to level 2, but actually all the standards and the measures still benchmark to level 1. We right now still at a crucial stage of containment response. My question to academician Zhong, right now the situation in ROK and Japan quite severe, so worried that maybe we have seen the importing cases to China. Guangdong also a place with foreigners working and living in Guangdong. So how we can do a joint prevention and control endeavor with international authorities, especially the authority from ROK and Japan. Talking about Japan, that's their Diamond Princess cruise had many cases found. That's around 700 confirmed cases. See, a total people on board is around 3,700. Originally, they put people in quarantine on cruise, but as long as people were in quarantine, you could see more and more confirmed cases found. Actually, this is a field measure. We talk about the transmission, no matter how luxury the cruise is. We talk about air ventilation, still a closed system. That's actually create a favorable environment for virus to spread. Indeed, it's also from the number of confirmed cases, it demonstrates the fact. So we talk about before China export cases, but in the end, whether we will see more imported cases happen. Maybe if some country like Italy, Iran, far from us, ROK, you can see ROK, their case number increased so fast. It's the same for MERS. A lot of the death tolls as well for MERS. I believe ROK, that's my observation. They should strengthen the international cooperation and information and the learning lesson exchange, and also would like to help them. We talk about interagency mechanism. We talk about help each other We talk about early identification of patients. Actually, 85% of patients found at an early stage can be cured. Only few cases we talk about DA. People with underlying disease such as the hypertension or diabetes, actually their fatal rate is 9 times higher than DA patients with COVID-19 in mild conditions. We talk about Wuhan and Hubei. Their mortality rate is around 3%, excluding Wuhan for the number total in China, just around 1%. So if you put this number under the a big picture of infectious disease, and this is a quite interesting phenomenon. This is unprecedented before. This is with really regional feature, so which also shows that the intervention measures should play a key role. So that is why I emphasize an interagency mechanism not only in China but also globally. We talk about right now is a critical stage. We talk about before we had the contradictions with ROK and Japan, but still at a very critical stage, Japan and ROK gave us a great support and help. I believe it's also the time to pay back, and also would like to join a regional scientific association to give them the in-time information and to also monitor the trajectory of the spread of the disease in their countries and find a way out. Thank you. Thank you, Southern Metropolis. We talk about the China, ROK, and Japan are very close to each other, and we should work together to prevent the spreading of a disease together, make the joint efforts to contain the virus. From Guangzhou TV on January 24th. The central government issued a strong ban on trading and consuming wild animals. Do you think this ban will play a key role fundamentally to prevent the epidemic? If we look back to the history, 70% or so came from animals. So have a close link between a human being and animals, especially in southern part of China. We had a quite close to the wild animals. So the virus, the wild animal carrying, could possibly transmit it to human being. We had some clue this time from Zhejiang that we found bats carries the virus of COVID-19, and also we found a pangolin also shared a higher genome sequence with the virus. I remember the 2015 in Guangxi, we found 5 people trapped underground, and after they saved 5, all of these 5 people actually infected with coronavirus. And because underground we found bats, and 3 out of 5 people were dead. So you mentioned right now we have a strong ban on trading and consuming wild animals. You talk about we put a stop, but we still can see the consumption of wild animals such as pangolin or other wild animals. SARS, actually, we have the 100% confirmed answer that CIVIT was a reservoir of SARS virus. We talk about the people in Guangdong that really like to eat civet, so that's why a lot of farms actually cultivate civet. You talk about the Guangzhou Zhengcha market, 80% of civet carried a virus. We talk about the civet actually were the reservoir of a SARS virus. If the consumers took civet, they could be infected. So we talk about right now we have all these kind of others really good choices or really good food. Why you eat wild animals? We talk about 20th century. So this year, 2020, we already experienced 3 epidemics of infected disease: SARS, MERS, COVID-19. All under the umbrella of a coronavirus. So we talk about as long as we find the cases with coronavirus infection, we should strictly deal with the case and also prevent the spreading of the virus. So we should learn the lesson. If we can control the whole situation by the end of December or no later than the early beginning of January, we could see a big decrease in number of infections. We talk about if we took the action on January 25th, then we could see the number of around 100,000 infected people. We talk about how the virus came from. We don't know yet. We talk about the first case we found actually from a human being, as was in the late December. We talk about whether the COVID-19 or this novel coronavirus already existed. No one knows. We talk about wild animals, not only limited to pangolin, maybe also other wild animals also carrying COVID-19. We talk about in the later stage, this lesson play a key role, especially when we're facing unknown coronavirus. And we talk about right now the State Council issued a strong ban and the hardest measure to put an end to the trading, transporting, and consuming of wild animals. And yesterday at our 23rd press conference, we also had a good interpretation on the law in the place. And we will for sure earnestly implement the decisions made by the CBC Central Committee. Now, the floor is open for further questions. My question is to academician Zhong. From SARS to COVID-19, you're always at the front line. Guangdong as a mega city, what experience we can summarize and can roll out to other cities? Thank you. So that's only from my observation. So that may not reflect the full picture. For any infectious disease, you should control the upstream. So prevention, and that should be very important. And if you found the case, you should take the stringent measures to control it. And for patients, they should be admitted in designated hospitals. For normal hospitals, actually, it consume large resources in terms of head counts and medical supplies. For acute infectious disease, that also required a high technical treatment. We talk about disease with low mortality rate, so not really touch great importance, like influenza. We talk about the mortality rate, it's around 0.1%. And also patients with severe and critical patients, they should be treated cross-discipline. It's not only rely on the professional from Department of Infectious Medicine. This time, also, that you should not only rely on the doctor from one single department. We should also draw the wisdom from cross-discipline. We talk about we should give the life support to patients. We talk about COVID-19. Right now, we closely monitoring the patients in our wards. According to my knowledge, so we give the continuous nursing service, giving the life support. The number of births carrying decreasing. So if give a good life support, it can help the virus to fight against COVID-19. So we talk about the supporting medical treatment. This for the critical cases. If you don't have other available treatment in place. And we also should take the proactive measures to prevent the virus. And also we talk about international cooperation. Because through the international cooperation, it can really help us to speed up our work and find the solution in a more swift manner. We talk about we should work together, rise to the challenge. So the joint efforts always play a key role. We talk about Guangzhou, it's a mega city, and we have a lot of the foreign populations living and working in Guangzhou. and we will follow the suggestions proposed by Academician Zhong.
好，时间关系，我最后一个可以机会。好，这位举了很久了哈。
我是广州广播电视台新闻频道的记者，我想请问今天是，因为现在已经是迎来一个复工复产全面复工的一个情况，所以刚才
My question also to Admission Zhong regarding resumption of work. So you just mentioned that we will not see another big breakout. From my understanding, is we talk about the disease is under control, which means that we are good enough to back to work. Talk about the international communities, especially the developing countries, whether their spreading speed is really fast or whether they can control it. I don't know. I cannot say it on behalf of their authorities. We talk about the case in China. We talk about the quarantine actually play a key role, and also Huoshenshan and Liechenshan hospitals actually have right now the empty beds, which means we have less suspected cases found. Your second question, talking about a patient showing positive results on their NAT again. So we talk about the way we found the antigen, as you say, old way. We talk about whether it's accurate or not. We also talk about the way of taking samples. So we have two ways, which is taking samples that's on the nasal swab, another is a throat swab. We talk about the disease strain that we found from feces. That's the partial of the nucleic acid. So we talk about the IgM antibody that's dedicated to COVID-19. So it's impossible for the patient with COVID-19 cured to be infected again. So for the cases you mentioned, I believe that's also needed time for us to study further. So we talk about if they showed a positive in their results, maybe in between 24 hours, we should conduct another NAT again. If showed a positive again, then should back to the hospital for close medical observation.
不能给你一个准确的回答，但是什么呢？一个病人得了这个新冠病毒的感染以后，恢复了，而且我们可以给他做，现在也很方便的做一个试纸的核酸抗体，不是这个 IgG 抗体，这个抗体以后是强阳性，这个说明他感染的机会不多了。 重复感染的机会不多。
好，非常感谢广东广播电台的提问。我们上述时间呢，也可以说我们时间到了11:46。今天很多媒体其实通过我们的记者群的平台提出了很多的问题，大家也非常理解我们最为疫情。
was a soldier. You always rush to the front line and lead the team. So right now it's already 11:47 a.m. And that's the academician Zhong Nanshan back to work, make more contribution to the patients on the front line. A lot of patients actually show their heartfelt thanks to academician Zhong Nanshan and his team, and also other teams and the medical personnel for their great contribution. I believe in all battlefields, you always can see our medical personnel. They put aside their interest and not a fear of danger. They show their professionalism at the front line. I also would like to let academician Zhong Nanshan to make a brief speech to the media on behalf of all the medical personnel. As I said at my opening, I would like to really thank all the media because you attach a great importance in the media coverage, and because right now the rumors are flying in the air. So this just one sentence, but they interpret it in their own way. That's caused a big problem. We talk about the chloroquine phosphate. Is a wonder medicine? My answer back then is no. There's no wonder medicine, but it shows a good effect. We talk about among all the candidates, the chloroquine phosphate had a good inhibitory effect. It's better than other candidates. We talk about the 3LS, that's the key protein of the virus. So the chloroquine phosphate had a good effect on this protein. So Guangdong actually the first place to conduct a clinical trial on this medicine, and I would like to thank our media once again. We talk about the fighting against COVID-19. It's a very important battlefield. I hope our friends from the media reflect the full picture, reflect the facts, and also reflect the focused news and also encouraging news as well to cheer up the whole morale. We talk about the situation in Wuhan and also a lot of negative news, especially the news we found in the overseas media coverage. We're never afraid of all these negative news because we have the confidence, we have the determination, and also have the friends from the media. You will be the one to tell the true story. And also you are the one to talk about the advantages of the Chinese political system can play its role. You are the one to tell them. Thank you. Thank you all the friends of the media to broadcast our press conference and also made a lot of reports reflecting the stories amid the epidemic.